Level 1. The obsessive. You were 12 years old and your older cousin puts a video on his phone and hands it to you without saying much. A car sliding through a mountain switchback at night, headlights cutting through its own smoke, the driver's hand casually resting on the shifter like the car isn't doing anything unusual. You hand the phone back and ask him to play it again immediately. Over the next year, you build a private world around this. You learn the difference between a clutch kick and a Scandinavian flick before you have ever sat in a manual car. You draw corners in the margins of your notebooks with little arrows showing entry, apex, exit. Your parents think it's a phase. It is not a phase. It is a foundation being laid one video at a time, and nobody around you can see it happening yet. Level 2. The owner. You are 16 and you buy a rusted 1993 RX-7 for less money than your friends are spending on sneakers, mostly because the previous owner didn't know what they had, and you did. The car smells like old oil and has a passenger window that only goes down, never up. None of that matters the first time you take it to an abandoned drive-in movie lot on the edge of town. You line up the car, you turn in, you press the throttle, and the rear end swings out faster than anything you have ever driven. You panic and lift off the gas completely, which is the exact wrong move, and the car snaps back and stalls sideways in the middle of the lot. You sit there for a second, laughing at yourself, then restart the engine and try again. You spin out 14 times that first afternoon. On the 15th try, for less than 2 seconds, the car holds a slide instead of breaking free of it, and that 2 seconds rewires something in you permanently. Level 3. The regular. You are 17 and the drive-in lot becomes your unofficial second home. 6 in the morning most days before school, alone with the RX-7 and a stopwatch app that doesn't actually make you faster, but makes you feel like you're tracking something. You keep a running list on your phone of every mistake, and for the first month, the list barely shrinks. Turned in too early, held the throttle flat when you should have modulated it, overcorrected and swapped ends. By week 6, the list finally starts getting shorter instead of longer. A group of guys who street race a few towns over start showing up on weekends to watch, parked along the fence line, not saying much, just observing. You start to notice the car speaking to you through the seat before your eyes even register what's happening. That early warning becomes the whole foundation of everything that comes after. Level 4. The student. You're 18, and a guy from the fence line crowd mentions a real drift school running out of a road course 40 minutes away. Actual instructors, actual cones, actual structure. You sign up before you fully thought it through. Your RX-7 looks rough parked next to the build cars in the paddock, but you don't let that bother you for more than a minute. An instructor rides your first session in total silence, then delivers 3 corrections afterward that land like a diagnosis. You're braking too late into transition, you're looking at the car in front of you instead of your own exit point, and you're holding tension in your shoulders that's translating straight into jerky steering inputs. You spend the rest of the day fixing one thing at a time. By your last run, the instructor just nods once and walks off, which you understand immediately is the entire point of the day. Level 5. The partner. You were 21 and you meet a driver named Marcus at a meet 3 hours from home, running a built Nissan 240SX that sounds like it's barely holding together and drives like it isn't. He watches one of your solo runs, walks over without introducing himself first, and asks if you've ever run tandem before. You say no, he tells you to fall in behind him next session, and doesn't say anything else. The first tandem run breaks apart everything you thought you understood about drifting alone. Chasing another car sideways through the same corner requires reading intentions in real time, with zero margin for delay. His line drifts slightly every lap, and you have to react to it instantly instead of planning for it in advance. You close the gap too fast once and your instinct screams brake, which spins you out immediately in front of him. He doesn't say anything about it, which somehow feels worse than if he had. 3 events later, he tells you your spacing is finally starting to look deliberate. That's the whole conversation, and it means everything. Level 6. The competitor. You are 23, staring down your first sanctioned competition run, and everything about the atmosphere is different from every practice day that came before it. Real judges scoring line, angle, and style independently. A paddock full of drivers who have been doing this since before you owned a license. You've mentally walked the course so many times, you could sketch every clipping point blind. Your solo qualifying run is solid, but not flawless. Your angle a touch conservative through the final sweeper, and you know it the moment you cross the line, before the score confirms it. You qualify comfortably mid-pack. Your first tandem battle, you win narrowly, staying tucked in tighter than you've ever managed under real pressure. You lose the second to a driver who has 3 more seasons of experience and simply reads the track better than you do today. You shake his hand and ask exactly one question about his entry speed into the final corner. He answers honestly. You write it down before you've even reached your car. Level 7, the sponsored driver. You are 26, and a local performance shop starts covering your tires and entry fees after a clip of your tandem battle gets passed around online more than either of you anticipated. It feels like free support. It is actually a new kind of pressure entirely. Because a rough weekend is no longer just yours to absorb quietly. It's now attached to somebody else's name and reputation too. You respond by over-preparing for everything that follows, arriving at each event knowing the track better than most of the other drivers there, studying more footage, mapping out your own weaknesses in advance with a specific plan for each one. The RX-7 gets rebuilt around real competition demands. Cage, hydraulic handbrake, an engine that can survive sustained abuse instead of just surviving your Sunday mornings. Younger drivers start parking near the fence to watch you the way you once watched the guys who found your old drive-in lot. You clock it. You don't comment on it. You just keep driving, because that was always the entire point. Level 8, the professional. You are 30 and the event is overseas in a country you had to look up the time zone for. Over 40 drivers from a dozen countries, a purpose-built circuit with elevation changes engineered specifically to punish any inconsistency in your driving. 20,000 fans in the stands who know exactly what a properly held angle looks like. This is a completely different level of machinery. Factory-backed cars with full engineering support and tire compounds built specifically for these conditions. You've got one mechanic who has known your car intimately for years, no factory backing behind either of you. What you have that money can't buy is over a decade built from a rusted drive-in lot before sunrise. Your qualifying run posts one of the highest angle scores of the day, which surprises you slightly and also doesn't surprise you at all. You reach the final against a driver holding 2 international titles. It goes to a tiebreaker run after judges call the first 2 rounds too close. You drive the cleanest lap of your life. The deliberation stretches 4 long minutes. You finish second. And standing on the podium in a country you'd never set foot in before, you think about 14 spins in an abandoned parking lot and the 2 seconds that started everything. Level 9, the legend. You were 37, standing trackside now as a judge instead of a competitor, a shift your body forced on you roughly 2 years ago through a back injury that never fully resolved. You still own the RX-7. You still drive it to events, just not in competition anymore. And you made your peace with that transition on your own terms, quietly, without needing anyone else's permission. A 20-year-old is running practice laps in a heavily built RX-7 of her own, and watching 4 consecutive attempts, you notice she's initiating the same corner just slightly too early every single time, bleeding angle before the apex instead of building it through the exit. After her session, she walks slow circles around her car, replaying something internally that clearly isn't sitting right with her yet. You walk over and tell her exactly what you saw, that the initiation needs to happen a beat later, that the angles she's losing early is angles she could be using later where it actually counts. She listens without a trace of defensiveness, just complete attention. She goes back out. The next lap is different, not perfect, different and moving in the right direction. You walk back to the judge's booth without mentioning it to anyone else there, because you don't need to, because you know exactly what you just watched happen. It was always going to end here, trackside watching someone else discover the beginning of something you already spent your whole life finishing. If any one of these ranks felt like looking in a mirror, that's the whole reason this series exists. Hit like if you felt it, share it with the one person who'll actually understand every rank on this list, and subscribe so the next one doesn't slip past you.